Now, I should tell you that what you are going to witness is not just an ordinary play. It's a historical record, accurate to the minutest detail, of the treatment of Magna Carta in certain Canadian courts during our lifetime. It commences, for example, with a scene using the exact words of a transcript of proceedings in a case heard here in Vancouver in 1959. Hearken to the chorus.
This, gentlefolk, is a story retold. A colorful, obstinate old judge and a young lawyer, persistent and bold. Young Tom Burgess attempts to persuade old Judge Manson of the ancient charter, known by us all as the Magna Carta, were cast aside, his arguments waylaid by a judge who by 1959 was no longer youthful or in his pride. A year after our bridge had fallen down, young Tom, for his clients, felt duty-bound to raise the spirit of Magna Carta, which would protect, he clearly saw, the ironworkers from the bailiff's claw. If you imagine that young Tom's arguments by old Judge Manson were ill-received, then, learned friends, you will not be deceived. But by your patient ears, please well attend and hear how a rigid judge begins to waver and comes round to Magna Carta in the end. How he does so is your actor's intent. Their inspiration shall be heaven sent. Imagine, friends, that you are Lissom Reeds witnessing the spectacle of Runnymede. Let the play begin.
Order in court. Mr. Justice Manson presiding. Dominion Bridge Company versus the International Order of Ironworkers. My lord.
Mr. Berger, I believe you're somewhere in the courtroom. I understand you have something to say on behalf of your client, the defendant.
Thank you, my lord. I submit your lordship cannot issue a writ of sequestration in this case. For to do so would be contrary to our constitutional law. I refer, of course, to Magna Carta.
Well, now, there is more recent law than Magna Carta. I'm not going to hear you on Magna Carta. I heard about that 50 years ago in law school. I'm not going to hear from you now on it.
My lord, I should like to make a submission on Magna Carta.
Well, start at the other end and work back. If you get to Magna Carta, that'll be all right. Start with something current. There are lots of cases on sequestration within recent times.
I am coming to those cases, my lord, but I submit Magna Carta is current. It is very much as in force today in British Columbia as it was in England in 1215. It is a part of the constitutional law of all of Her Majesty's realms, of which British Columbia is one.
This is a speech for the benefit of the gallery. You needn't address those remarks to me.
With respect, my lord, it is not.
Well, why bother? You're just wasting my time.
I should like to refer to Chapter 15 of Magna Carta.
Well, desist. I am familiar with Chapter 15 of Magna Carta. You're wasting your time.
Well, if your lordship is indeed familiar with Chapter 15, then your lordship ought, on the basis of that chapter, to rule that no writ of sequestration can lie. Because Chapter 15 says, no freemen shall be distrained to make bridges. which means that you cannot distrain the assets of the Union to compel its members to make bridges, which is precisely what your learned friend would have your lordship do.
Well, there are lots of statutes passed since Magna Carta.
But my lord, there is no statute in this province that can infringe upon the rights and freedoms granted free men by Magna Carta.
Yes! The sovereign, acting on the advice of the honorable members of the Senate and the honorable members of the House of Commons, can repeal Magna Carta insofar as Canada is concerned, and so can the sovereign, acting on the advice of the legislature within the provincial sphere, repeal Magna Carta.
With utmost respect,
Oh, I've heard enough! That young, grand-standing young Berger and all of that Magna Carta humbug doesn't mean a thing.
We've shown you Tom Berger's losing game in keeping with our desire to entertain. We will now gladly show you sweet lawyers, if in your soft seats you will remain, a truly ancient and more pleasing theme, a judge who falls asleep, perchance to dream.
Who's there? I am the ghost of the law of the past. What do you want with me? You don't believe in Runnymede. Oh, Runnymede, you. This is all buried in the ancient past. It has nothing to do with me or our time in British Columbia of 1959. Come with me, and we shall look at this ancient past.
No royal seal, no
money.
No royal seal, no money. No royal seal, no money. No royal seal, no money.
Yes! This is Runnymede! Watch and learn!
A pox on you, Baron Berger! I am your king, and I intend to gain back all of my territories in Brittany and Normandy. I shall levy each of you for men and money for my campaign.
Not unless you affix the royal seal to Magna Carta, which guarantees all of our ancient rights and liberties.
Damn you, sir! Are you not aware of the law and the divine right of kings?
I speak of a greater right. Besides, you need our support, and we won't give it unless you sign this document.
I shall affix my seal, get the money, and repeal Magna Carta. Okay, Virgin? And now, I shall eat all of these peaches.
Goodness! What has happened? Magna Carta is alive in law and song. But what has happened to good King John? He died from a surfeit of peaches. He never had the opportunity to repeal Magna Carta. Oh, I was dreaming. No, it was a nightmare. Magna Carta and all those peaches. Well, perhaps young Berger was right that Magna Carta lived at one time, but here in Canada it has no present or future. The Supreme Court of Canada will never recognize it. Parliament and the legislature are supreme and either can repeal Magna Carta. Oh, you again. You are nothing but a bit of indigestion. I would like to think that I am your conscience.
Sir John A. Macdonald thought better of the unwritten law. Watch now a politician as he appeals to Queen Victoria.
Sir John, I read in our draft constitution, what you call the B&A Act, that you propose the Dominion of Canada to have a constitution similar in principle to that of the United Kingdom. Pray, what do you mean by that?
Why, Your Majesty, the British Constitution is superior to any other in the world for free men and women. I have spoken to some British scholars who are of the opinion that the structure of the British Constitution is based on the rule of law, which rests firmly on the rights and freedoms developed from Magna Carta. We Canadians consider this to be our birthright.
You are indeed a wise man, Sir John. My dear Albert would approve. Now, would you care to help yourself to a drink?
Your Majesty is too kind.
What a thrill to see Sir John A. Macdonald. He reminds me a bit of myself in my youth. But this is all in the past. This is now is 1959, and I am right in the law.
But was Judge Manson's law in the right? Perhaps it will take Justices 9 to shine a broad, perceptive light on BC's special statutes of 1911, and first ranked their scene is Magna Carta. The judge's thinking is due for a change. The Chief and Justice Betts, speaking for the court, will give Magna Carta its full range.
Oh, what now?
I am the ghost of the law of the future.
Oh, spare me. I will soon be forced to retire, and I will be rid of these troublesome young lawyers who believe they know the law. Next, you'll be telling me that the Supreme Court of Canada recognizes common law rights derived from Magna Carta.
Let us hear what the Supreme Court of Canada has to say about Magna Carta.
The Court, La Cour, 1994, Regina versus Gladstone. Chief Justice Lemaire presiding. My lords and my lady.
Oui, Monsieur Harvey, we will now hear from you.
Do my tired eyes deceive me? But is there a woman on the Supreme Court bench?
There will be no discrimination in our modern Canadian nation. Listen to Harvey, QC.
Lords, my lady, in clause 47 of Magna Carta, King John gave up his claim to fisheries as an exclusive royal monopoly. That has laid the foundation for the public right of fishery. That clause precludes ministers from arbitrarily favoring some and discriminating against others. That is the law of British Columbia and Canada to this day.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Harvey. Arrêtez, fini. The majority judgment of the court is that since the time of Magna Carta, there is a common law right to fish in tidal waters that can only be abrogated by the enactment of competent legislation.
Well, there may be no competent legislation abrogating fishing rights, but what has that to do with our Constitution or the law on bridges?
Well, let us see where Magna Carta shall lead us. In 1982, Canada will get its own charter named after Magna Carta, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It recognizes that Canada is built on the rule of law, the principle for which Magna Carta stands. It guarantees us fundamental freedoms set out and started in Magna Carta.
But this is all in the future. It has nothing to do with my time.
Your time has come. See, written on the wall, Section 7, everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person. That includes builders of bridges.
But there is no Charter of Rights and Freedoms now in 1959. Besides, Section 33 says that the Parliament or the legislature can override most freedoms. That is what I told young Berger.
Listen carefully, my lord.
The Court, La Cour. In the Supreme Court of Canada, Ontario Public Service Employees Union versus Ontario, SCC, June 1987. Mr. Justice Betts delivering the judgment for the majority.
Speaking more generally, I hold that neither Parliament nor the provincial legislature may enact legislation, the effect of which would be to substantially interfere with the operation of this basic constitutional structure. Quite apart from the Charter, the legislative bodies in this country must conform to their basic structural imperatives and can in no way override them.
Do my ears deceive me? Neither Parliament nor the legislature could ever have overridden the individual rights and freedoms which form the basis of the common law derived from Magna Carta?
Yes, Canada's basic constitutional structure is built on the rule of law derived from Magna Carta. Oh, Section 7 of the Charter will stir your blood. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person.
My God, I think I've got it. Now, I am right that the written Magna Carta forms no part of our Constitution, and that some of the rights derived from Magna Carta, like the law on public fisheries, form part of the ordinary common law. These can be changed by Parliament or the legislature. But Berger is right that our fundamental rights and freedoms derived from the Magna Carta include the freedom from arbitrary denial of liberty and security of the person. These are and always have been part of our Constitution. It is on these that our country was founded. Tell me, Ghost, can Mr. Berger forgive an obstinate old judge?
Ask him, my lord, then you be the judge of that.
Tom, wait a minute. I have something I need to ask of you.
Gentlemen and gentlewomen, the vision of your future is truly grand. For the broad liberties of Magna Carta extend beyond fish, forest, and land. Its principles, your birthright and mine, are in our charter that no one can malign. Tom Berger and the judge have made amends. As foretold, this is how our story ends. Listen, listen to the wind rustling lissom reeds, and sing Kipling's poem of Runnymede.
It's Runnymede, it's Runnymede. Say the reeds, it's Runnymede. The lissom reeds that give and take, that bend so far but never break. They keep the sleepy Thames awake with stories of joy at Runnymede. Through our ranks the barons came, with little thought of praise or blame, resolute to play the game. They lumbered up to Runnymede, and there they launched in solid line the first attack on right divine, the curt, uncompromising sign that settled John at Runnymede. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask you all to rise on your feet, please. Help us out with this last verse. It's important for freedom. And still we love our monarch lays to root a hand on English ways. The whisper waits, the shudder plays across the reeds at Runnymede. And Thames that knows the blues of kings, and crowds and priests and such like things, grows deep and dreadful as he brings the warning down from Runnymede. The warning down from Runnymede.